Welcome back to Todd Kramer Arts. Thank you for joining me today. Just a little update. I almost died, so that's a thing that happened. Um, Let me tell you a little bit of the story about it. A couple weeks ago, I was prescribed, actually, it's been about a month ago or so now, but anyway, I was prescribed a medication, and apparently the medication did not sit well with me. And basically, um, about I was on the medication for about a week, and progressively during the week, I got sicker and sicker, um, to the point that I was vomiting uncontrollably. I thought that to be concerning, so I went to urgent care, and they told me to go to the hospital. During that, they took my blood and they said, "Hey, yeah, you know what? You're going to be here for a while." And what happened was is my sodium dropped to very, 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 very low levels. And basically, when it drops that low, you're on the verge of having a serious issue, which could involve death. So that was surprising to me. So yeah, so I had to stay in the hospital for about a week or so, about a week, and gradually got my sodium levels back to a spot that was acceptable and released me to my own recognizance. But, things like that get you thinking about stuff, and that's what brings me here today. I'd love to do more of these videos. I'm hoping to do more in the future, as I always say in every video. But it's often hard to find the time to do the videos, but also sometimes it's hard to find exactly what you want to say, what the topic is. And, this has been rattling around in my head for a little bit, so I figured I'd just put it out here. It's going to be kind of, I don't know how long this video will be, but I just wanted to put it out there. But, I had some time to reflect on some stuff, and, you know, my art and my interests as far as art and creativity pretty much dominated my whole being, my whole life. My identity, my how I view the world, how I consume the world, how I relate to it, and um, that can be a little bit taxing sometimes mentally. Um, as I've said in previous videos, I had big dreams to become a big artist, kind of be an eccentric, crazy artist living in a hilltop castle somewhere, gallivanting, running around. If I had a plan that if I were to go bald, I would just get a plethora of wigs that I could try out and dress in fancy robes and be essentially turn into Salvador Dali or my version of that. Things didn't pan out. Didn't really work out that way. There's still time. I will never give up hope. But in the process of doing that, you get stuck in your head, and the art world's a really strange place. And it's a great place, and there's a lot of amazing things there, but it was really hard for me to kind of find any type of real footing in the art world. And as most, average American lives go, sometimes you get caught in the rat race, as they would say. You basically, next thing you have to get a car, you got to drive places, you got to pay that car bill. You can't stay at your folks forever. You got to find an apartment. You fall in love. You start a family. You get kids. You have responsibilities. You've got to pay for those responsibilities. And a lot of times, being eccentric artists with wigs, as much as I wish I could just get that job, it's not. There's not a lot of applications out there for that, and there's not a lot of places to give your resume for such a thing. Um, and you get kind of, you go a different route. Um, but also in that process, you're also thinking a lot about, well, what can I do? What would work? And as I've said in other, posts, I've always enjoyed, I've always felt a kinship with things that are dark, macabre, Halloween related, if you will. And I know there are avenues for that in the art world for sure. Just I just couldn't find them. And I went down different paths. There's a lot of other interests I have too. I went down those paths, and I was always second guessing. I was like, one thing I was always thinking about with the art world is like, there's always these very big, lofty concepts and things like that that are associated to your work, and you have to really think through every little option. And I kind of had a analysis paralysis a lot of the time throughout my early career in it. I would do a lot of work, and I would just think it wasn't good enough. This need to do more, or no, that's derivative. This is derivative, and all this stuff. Yeah, and eventually it wears you down, and you second guess everything, and then the stuff you produce that you think works, you don't resonate as much with as you wish you would, and life goes on, which leads me to kind of where I am now. There's an artist out there called Daniel Horn. He is a monster artist. He did some famous monster covers and stuff like that. I Somewhere along the lines I came across his work online, and I thought it was amazing because he did a lot of kind of film stills of old monster movies and things of that nature. And I found it so inspiring because I was just thinking, that's just fun. You just can just relax and focus. And I love the art of painting. I love painting. I love creating art. I love just the actual moments of doing that. And I just needed to do that. And so I started doing that on my own for kind of fun. I was thinking, well, this could be a little detour from my other work. And because at the time I was a little bit more abstract, minimalist landscapes, things of that nature, stuff I still love. I love that stuff. Um, and also, I thought, there's more galleries that would like to show that. Not everyone wants Bela Lugosi hanging over their couch or whatever. I know I would, but not everyone else would, whatever. And, I found there's such a freedom in it. And then that kind of started me down a little bit of a path of pursuing, getting back into kind of horror and dark surrealism and things of that nature. There's other artists like Chedzar out there that I found very inspiring. And I mean, there's a myriad of different influences that started coming through. But I didn't really see any avenues to kind of pursue that. How can I have a commerce around that? I mean, I am in New England. You'd think there's a plethora of places. It's a little harder to find. And also, when you don't have as many resources at the time, it's hard to invest in it and then push it out there. And plus, the self doubt is it's a crippling thing. But anyway, long story short, that kind of leads me to what I want to talk about. So as I'm, you know, thinking of the possibility that if I didn't go to the ER and how much worse it could have gotten for me, um, I was also thinking about where I'm at now. You know, am I the big eccentric, um, you know, robe wearing, wig wearing, um, crazy person on top of the hill that I want to end up being? Not quite. But now I find myself painting and pursuing avenues to show my work on my terms, and it's so rewarding. And I'm just very grateful for anyone that has shown interest in my work lately. And when I go to these art fairs and these kind of dark art fairs that I've been going into and seeing people get prints and ask me about the work, get originals, people I've met through on YouTube, like Virgil, like it's just, and friendships that I've grown through my interests. It's just, it's more fulfilling than I thought it would be. And I'm just incredibly grateful for it. And I guess I want to also say is that, like, to me now, it doesn't, the goal isn't like, I mean, it's all, it would always be nice to kind of, um, you know, live off your craft and just do that. That's always going to be the goal. But I am so content and so happy, um, with everything what I've got now. And I just want to put it out there that, I don't take it for granted. Anyone who's ever picked up a print, bought an original, commissioned an original, um, you know, it's just a great feeling. And it's great to have your work put you in line with like-minded people and people that understand what it is to be interested in this type of work and to be interested in the spooky, the macabre, the dark, or whatever. And I just wish, maybe went this path a little bit more earnestly, or at least not earnestly, but a little bit more. I wish I focused on going this route like way earlier. you know, Being in my age now, it's a little challenging. Um, but hey, here I am, and I'm just really grateful to be doing this, and I'm grateful to anyone who's out there that watches what I put out there. And anyway, take care of yourselves. If you feel an inkling of something wrong, that's not quite right, go see a doctor. Don't wait around, a week and a half or whatever. But thank you all so much. And yeah, check out some new stuff. Um, a lot more to come. All right, thank you. Take care.